Fourth reading of the poem, I'm now studying the way the poet has used sentence structure. Syntax is a fancy word for that, and in our class, anytime I highlight things blue in my lectures or in your writing, I'm often teaching you about your sentence structure. So the first thing I wanted to note is this little phrase here, my neighbor. This was a place of confusion for me because I didn't know who the neighbor was. I didn't know who was calling out of the doorway. When I read this, at first I think she is calling a child, my neighbor. I thought, is the child the neighbor? But I misread it. At first, I think she, my neighbor, is calling a child. That's the way the sentence could have also been said. My neighbor leaning through the doorway. Do you understand it now? It's the neighbor calling out the door. Now, this sentence uses a really neat technique that is often called the magic three when you list out three verbs. An easy magic three is I had hamburgers, french fries, and a Diet Coke for lunch. Do you hear that magic three? Hamburgers, comma, french fries, comma, and a Diet Coke. Learning how to do a magic three often starts that way when you list out three things. And then you can make more elaborate magic threes where you list out phrases. So the author's using this list, and notice all the commas that are in here. In another yard, beyond my neighbor's sight. Here's the actual sentence. The complete sentence is there. The cat lifts her ears, turns first toward the voice, then back to the constellation. Three things. It could just be the cat lifts her ears, period. But the poet has listed out three actions. I want to talk about this advanced punctuation called the M dash. M dashes are interruptions. You could technically take them out and it wouldn't change any meaning, right? But the reason it's in there is it adds an interruption like an emphasis, hence why it's called an M dash. Now let's read that M dash. It's as if she can't decide whether to leap over the low hedge, the neat rows of flowers, and bound onto the porch, into the steady circle of light, or stay where she is. Luminous possibility. All that would keep her away from home. So hear how that M dash is giving us more information about what the luminous possibilities are? Whatever the possibilities for the cat is, that's why the cat doesn't want to come home. Maybe the cat is searching for more fireflies. Maybe the cat is hunting. Maybe the cat is just wandering around. Last but not least, we have a semicolon. And man, I am still trying to learn how to use these. Semicolons are not to be overused. The poets only used it once. And what semicolons do is they join sentences that are linked by idea. In a way, a semicolon works like an and, but it's a more powerful tool. It's a different tool. So let's read this sentence and see how that semicolon joins it. That's why this box is very large, because this is all one sentence. She's giving up calling for now. Left me to imagine her inside the house waiting, perhaps in a chair in front of the TV, or walking around doing small tasks. Semicolon. Left me to wonder that I, too, might lift my voice, sure of someone out there. Send it over the lines, stitching here to there. Certain the sounds I make are enough to call someone home. So there's a couple different reasons why the poet is using a semicolon. One, notice there are two verbs left. This is linking two long clauses that give us two ideas. The neighbor's given up for now calling, and the neighbor's gone back inside. It's left the speaker to wonder this, and it's left the speaker to wonder that. So the poet's using a semicolon to join these two ideas of left. However, these are also just really long. Notice how many commas there are in these long clauses. So another reason why the poet's using a semicolon rather than a comma is it helps our eye guide ourselves. It's helping us pause differently and see that this is all one chunk and this is all one chunk of the sentence working together. So the semicolon is quite powerful tool here. It's guiding our eye, it's joining the sentence, and it's making it clear when we read it. Now, this is a pretty advanced sentence, isn't it? Look how long this is, hence why the box is so large. Can you write this well, too? I can't. I'm working on it, but this is a very complex compound sentence. We are trying to work on improving our sentence structure sophomore, junior, and senior year. And honestly, I didn't really master my sentence structure till my 20s when I had to teach it as a teacher. So just recognize you don't need to know all these terms like appositive phrases, magic three, clauses versus phrases are really something that you need to learn, but you don't need to learn all the ins and outs of the names, but it does help. And I will be teaching you some of this term. I hope you enjoyed this syntax lecture. If not, then you may have escaped the love of writing, and writing is very frustrating at times. So I love this stuff. It's like a musician learning chords, or an artist learning colors, or a video game player learning maneuvers to manipulate their character. All right, have a great day.